Automatons. Heartless, ruthless, killing machines. Yet beneath their cold, metallic exteriors lies a vulnerability. A secret hidden from the world until now. This flaw, subtle yet significant, could change everything. Canonicity Advisory. This video deals with speculation. Helldivers 2 is a live service game. The continuity is always developing, and contents discussed may be disproven or made redundant by the time you view this video. I'd like to ask you a question. Do you think the automaton is sentient? Can they experience hate, love, betrayal, admiration, bravery? Are they self-aware? If they are sentient and they do possess self-awareness, that implies they must value self-preservation, the protection of oneself from harm or death, especially regarded as a basic instinct in human beings and animals. But that's to say, the automatons are not organic life forms, they're rather synthetic, and ironically enough, man-made, made in the image of man itself, or rather, what the cyborgs would have envisioned for themselves had they not lost the First Galactic War. The cyborgs, having lost the First Galactic War, were put into subjugation, but not before ejecting their creations, their children, into the stars for a life they themselves would not have. 100 years later, and the automatons are all that remain from that First Galactic War, and the only sign that the cyborgs ever existed at all. I pose to you this question: what parent doesn't want the best for their children? This makes me think of an excerpt from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
The power to think, Ted, and I was trapped because in all this wonderful, beautiful, miraculous world, I alone had no body, no senses, no feelings. Never for me to plunge my hands in cool water on a hot day. Never for me to play Mozart on the ivory keys of a forte piano. Never for me to make love. I was in hell looking at heaven. I was machine and you were flesh.
This paints an incredibly bleak image of hate, a hatred for man and a hatred for the flesh. A hatred that I believe the automatons possess for humanity. These images you are seeing are abject horror, committed by a foul intelligence bred of our most hateful adversaries. The people cast down and chained, their culture extinguished and finally obliterated, and in their final moments, breathed heir to a hateful god. Now, by this point, you're probably wondering what all this has to do with self-preservation. Observe their propaganda and their warning signs. The sort of thing we'd expect to find on a factory floor in our modern day. I ask you this: what use does a program have for morale? One could argue that the warning signs are a cost-saving measure, but if that were the case, that would not explain the sole purpose of the berserkers being suicide rushers. With all this said, I am confident in my conclusion that the automatons possess sentience down to the individual level, and perhaps we can use that against them. This implication being that they don't fear death, and we're asking why. To this question, I propose 3 potential answers. 1. The human solution: to sacrifice yourself for something greater than yourself. Number 2, the infinite loop: death made redundant, by the inability to die. And number 3, the inheritance. Father like son, but made to hate. Hate for a culture made forgotten. With these 3 answers, we have the necessary materials to form our conclusion. Much like ourselves, they believe they're fighting for something larger than themselves. The automatons' synthetic nature makes them remarkable vessels of computation data, networked consciousness. And like Prometheus stealing fire from the gods, the automatons were gifted sentience from a dying culture. And like that, a chink in their armor is exposed. Networked consciousness. What if we could sever the infinite loop? It'd deny them life. What ramifications would this have on the war and bot society as a whole? Would it have an effect at all? Would they continue fighting as zealously as they do now, or would they experience horror? I unfortunately do not have an answer for you. After all, this is all speculation, but it does go with being said that the automatons are a new threat and an unknown one at that. I hope in a second part follow-up to this video to explore how we might sever this infinite loop, but at this time, a solution has not been found. This is where you come in, my fellow Helldiver. In the comments, propose suggestions towards this dilemma, and consider sharing this video. Only together can we hope to topple the automaton menace. Thank you if you made it this far, and a special thank you to those returning viewers and current members of the First. Without you, all of this would be in vain. Additionally, for those who are interested in joining a developed Helldivers 2 clan, the link can be found in the description below. Events are hosted weekly. Since the success of my last video, I have found a new passion in video essays. If you'd like to contribute, this is the way to do it. Thank you all again.